On the eve of the winter holidays, the famous Hermit was given gifts, a new scarf with patterns and a skirt of the color of sea wave. Visitors to Agafia Lykova were visited by inspectors of the Kakhovsky Reserve, as well as Nikolai Sidov, the son of Sergei Usik, Agafia's former neighbor. Grandmother has a hard time, wears water, feeds goats, is managed by the household. Assistant Alexei helps in some ways, but, basically, she is all herself. She is 75 years old. Fortunately, the snow calmed the Tega guest. In the summer, an annoying bear came up to the hitch. It was necessary to frighten off firecrackers. Merrills too seemed to have taken off, and it was like that they got into a habit, and tear down hay. Size of course hungry, but you're wild, not domestic. We must somehow feed ourselves. Of course it was not without gifts, says Nikolai Sidov. Harpana brought new clothes, winter clothes, shoes and scarves. And of course, the goodies, fish. This year it didn't work out for fishing, meat, cedar oil. Now it is expensive, an inaccessible product has become. And it is necessary, Harpana is being treated by them. The guests stayed with the Hermit not even a day, about an hour. They say that the flight to it is distant, and now it is the shortest days. They just went for profit, by summer. We only had time to say a word. Agafia did not complain about her health, not before. Just lamented, goats are running out of hay. Probably have to feed the naked Talnik. And that's right, inspectors confirm. There are few hay fields, all shreds mow, grass is a problem, there is none. Yes, a goat can eat a spruce foot, although it is very prickly. But until spring, how to stretch it? Seeing off, Harpana sent greetings to the mainland, blessed everyone, next year. And then she got down to business again. Does she miss you? She has no time, says Nikolai Arafevich. She, you know, how the day goes, either work or prayer, there is no idle state of mind. Prayer, work and sleep. The only thing, maybe take 5 minutes to pet a cat or a dog. Only this can afford, so relax. Ascetic lifestyle. He lives in a Christian way, so people should live. Here again, a rocket was launched from Baikonur. They suggested Agafia to evacuate. But how many years this has been going on, she got used to. Says, a star flew in the sky, bang, and there's nothing wrong with it. So, like a firework for the new year. Now I want to briefly recall the history of the Lykov family. In the meantime, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell for notifications. Not to miss new videos. And we will continue. The family of Old Believers, who voluntarily left to live in the Taiga, is known throughout the world. They were discovered only in 1978, Soviet geologists, and so, the Lykov family settled in the deep Taiga as far back as 1936. It was then, fleeing from the unworthy power of the Bolsheviks, the head of the family Karp Lykov and his wife Akulin decided to become hermits and get away from civilization. At the time, they already had 2 children, 9-year-old son Savius, and 2-year-old daughter Natalia. At first they lived in a hut, the house was cut down later. Almost immediately, 2 more children were born in the family, Agafia and Detrai. About 250 came from the Lykovs residence to the nearest village. For the first time, they were discovered by geologists, from a helicopter in 1978. At the time, the family consisted of 5 people, a father and 4 children. Akulina died of starvation in 1961. For scientists, this family was a real discovery. In the first minutes of the meeting with geologists, the hermits were scared. The house was then Karp and his 2 daughters. But after a while, they themselves made contact. They were pleased to tell guests about their lifestyle, about their foundations and rules. They could read and write, they themselves wove their clothes and knitted shoes from birch bark. Women watched the crops, men went hunting. Each of their family members was unique in their own way. The Lykovs led a deeply religious, secluded life. In the meantime, scientific progress was developing before our eyes. The Second World War was won, Gagarin flew into space, all had radio and television. And for Karp Lykov, Peter the Great and his power still remained the main enemy. He spoke of the reign of the king as if it were yesterday. As a result, many scientists, journalists and doctors began to visit the family. They were written about in newspapers around the world. But trouble happened. Complete isolation from people led to the fact that the Lykovs did not have immunity to certain diseases. Dmitry developed pneumonia. They tried desperately to help him, persuaded him to go to the hospital, but he refused. In 7 and Natalia, kidney failure was found, the result of a strict diet in harsh conditions. Any infection could give complications. That is exactly what happened. In the fall of 1981, 3 of the children, Sabius, Natalia and Dmitry died. One after another, with a difference of several days. But at the time of discovery, Lykov was examined by a doctor. All as one, were healthy and full of strength. This fact was repeatedly noted by scientists. After the funeral, the surviving Agafia and Karp were persuaded to move to a village or city, but they refused. After 7 years, in February 1988, the head of the family, Karp, died in a dream. Agafia was left all alone. She was not going to move, but she did not refuse help. Several times she nevertheless left her abode. She went to visit her relatives at the invitation of her. A couple of times she was treated in the hospital. For some time, she even decided to move to a convent, but did not take root there and return to the Teg again. Agafia lives there to this day. She faithfully keeps devotion to family heirlooms and traditions. Anton met a relative by correspondence. According to him, somehow, immersed in the study of a kind of history, he realized that both his ancestors and the ancestors of the famous Tega Hermit come from one village, Lykovo in the Tumen region. Realizing that he was connected by blood relationship with the Tega Hermit, Anton wrote her a letter almost 2 years ago and handed it over to the Old Believers. To the priest, who tried to get Agafia to deliver the letter with the next expedition, and received the answer in a letter written by Agafia's hand. Thinking about this newly born relative Anton, we turn to records about the Lykov family of Old Believer Alexander Lebedev, who in 1989 got to the house and described in great detail the whole history of the family from the words of Agafia. We found that what village of Lykovo in the Tumen region is not mentioned in the history of the Lykov family. We carefully examined the place in the Tumen region, the village of Lykovo in the Uperov district, to which the TASS agency refers, which is supposedly the birthplace. Lykov's families, and that's what they revealed. On March 26, 2018, a publication was published that the authorities of the Uperovsky district of the Tumen region developed a tourist route to places associated with the Siberian hermit Agafia Lykova. And 1,200,000 rubles were allocated for the project. They planned to launch the route in the fall of 2018, the head of the district, Leonid Sokov, told TASS. Agafia Lykova is related to the Uperovo settlement of Lykovo. There is historical evidence that indicates that she was here. We want to make a historical Old Believer route. In the center of Uperovo we found a building. We will restore it under the Old Believer estate. We already have a contractor, we'll try to launch it by the fall, the agency's interlocutor said. I ask you to pay attention to this phrase. There is historical evidence that indicates that she was here. Was Agafia in the Uperovsky settlement of Lykovo? What kind of historical data is this evidence of? According to the interlocutor, there is reason to believe that the Lykov family previously lived in the Tumen region in the village of Lykovo. After which she moved to Altai and then to Khakassia. The tourist route will include visits to historical sites associated with the Siberian Hermit, Sewer Church and Street Nicholas Church. 1.2 million rubles will be allocated for the development of a tourist route and construction and installation works. It is planned to develop the route with the assistance of the Department of Consumer Market and Tourism of the Tumen region. Prior to this event, in the fall of 2017, during a direct line, the governor of Khakassia forbade visiting Lykov's settlement without his permission. Since, according to him, the hermit has become the object of his own query from the government of Kuzbas and many officials and entrepreneurs. For some reason, Zeman did not say a word about his own VIP tour to the hermit for 175,000 rubles, which had been functioning since 2015. Look at these screenshots. In the fall of 2018, Viktor Zeman resigned as governor, and right there, the Tumen authorities announced the creation of a new tourist route to Agafia Lykova. As the saying goes, a holy place does not exist. Most likely, the new nephew Anton Lykov went to the hermit with the filing of the Tumen authorities to establish contacts and probe the situation on obtaining inheritance rights of the popular brand name of the Lykov family for a promising tourism business. Dear subscribers, I ask you to write your opinion on this in the comments under this video. I will answer everyone. By the way, already a lot of manufacturers of medicines use the name Agafia Lykova to advertise their products. And they are apparently using it illegally. Anyone who will have the right to sell a popular brand in the future will definitely make good money. Here is such a Russian business in reality. Please share this video in all your social networks with a button under the video. Let your friends watch the video too. And I ask you to go to our other videos about Agafia Lykova, which are gaining popularity. In the comments under one of the videos, a quarrel is discussed due to Agafia of two former governors of Tuli and Zimin. In the comments under another video, the newfound nephew of the Hermit and sexual violence against Agafia, which was committed many years ago by her distant relative, Ivan Tropin. After which Lykova got a terrible psychological stress and was sick for a long time. And which greatly changed her attitude to our godless world as a whole and to his masculine, to the population in particular. On March 3, 2020, we released a video about the suspicious nephew of Agafia Lykova, who suddenly appeared out of nowhere and flew to the Hermit. The video turned out resonant. Opinions are divided. People write comments about possible DNA analyzers, about trying to steal valuable books and icons, about attempts to gain access to the inheritance right of the popular brand name Agafia Lykova for a particular business, etc. I'll briefly tell those who did not watch the video. In the fall of 2019, TASS correspondents assisted in delivering Anton's nephew Agafia Lykova, an employee of the Perm tram depot, to the hitch. Anton Lykov flew over to visit a cousin on whom he had never seen. TASS tracked down Anton at the request of Agafia herself, which during one of the visits of journalists complained that a relative who was known by correspondents did not come to her. Anton's visit to a relative was combined with the dumping of supplies for the winter. This was supported by the governor of the Kemerovo region, Sergei Usik, who stated that he was taking mockery of the Hermit and considered Agafia Lykova a saint. The governor organized the departure of a large helicopter capable of delivering both people and goods to the Taiga.